Marvel fans, there's a new report about the Secret Invasion show coming to Disney Plus sometime next year, and it has me incredibly excited. Let's talk about evil Skrulls and Skrulls that might have connections to the X-Men. What's up, everybody? It's Josh coming at you from Nerd Avengers Tower as per usual, and this one is very exciting to me. You might recall me talking about a potential Secret Invasion video that I was going to do a couple of weeks ago. Well, I'm going to talk about in this video what I was going to talk about in that video, and it's really freaking cool. The Secret Invasion show is very high up on my hype list. I'm incredibly excited for the show. It's one of the best comic book crossover events ever done in Marvel Comics, and it will potentially fix one of my biggest problems with the Captain Marvel movie, and that is good guy Skrulls. Yeah, guys, it was one of those weird Josh things where a lot of people were talking about different aspects of the Captain Marvel movie, whether or not Brie Larson's performance was good or some stuff she said off camera should make us all hate the movie, and your boy was over here just being unable to get past the fact that there were good guy Skrulls and that we didn't have a secret invasion happening. So let's start by talking about this brand new report. It came out yesterday from The Direct. It is an exclusive from them, and it says actor Killian Scott is playing Fizz the Skrull in the Secret Invasion Disney Plus series, a character with connections to the X-Men in the comics. And then if we go into the article here, it has a lot of interesting things to say about this character and about the show. Okay, so it says here, adapting the iconic comic storyline of the same name, Secret Invasion will star Samuel L. Jackson's Nick Fury alongside Ben Mendelsohn's Captain Marvel Skrull Talos. The returning duo will be joined by several new faces, including Emilia Clarke, Olivia Colman, Kingsley Bean-Admir, Christopher McDonald, and Killian Scott. While shooting currently in the UK, most of the series' new characters remain shrouded in mystery, with no official indication of whom they will be playing. Although, given the significance the Skrulls will have in the project, it can be expected at least several will be playing shape-shifting aliens. While recent reports have offered some insight on several of the series' characters, new information exclusively obtained by The Direct suggests one Skrull with X-Men connections may be on his way to the MCU. And it is this guy, Killian Scott. So it says here, The Direct can report that love/hate actor Killian Scott will play a Skrull in the Secret Invasion Disney Plus series. According to The Direct sources, Scott's shapeshifter will be named Fizz, a Skrull with comic connections to Professor X and the X-Men. Here's a shot here of Professor Xavier hanging out with a bunch of Skrulls. Pretty funny stuff. It says here, within Marvel Comics, Fizz is a mutant Skrull with the ability to reduce and increase his size on top of the alien race's unusual, or rather usual, shape-shifting powers. So he can shape-shift like a Skrull, but can also become really big or really small, okay? So after being exiled from the Skrull Empire because of his mutant abilities, Fizz traveled to Earth, where he met and stayed with Charles Xavier. He went on to return to space, where he was trained by Professor X before going on to help the X-Men fight Apocalypse, and later returning to the depths of space with the other mutant Skrulls. Since Charles Xavier and the X-Men have yet to join the MCU, Fizz's Secret Invasion story will probably take some significant liberties from the Marvel Comics source material. Perhaps the Nick Fury-led espionage thriller will keep Fizz's mutant Skrull abilities intact while avoiding his X-Men connections, at least for now. However, they do point out here that Patrick Stewart's Charles Xavier is rumored to appear in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness in May of 2022. Granted, Stewart's role will probably be strictly in a cameo capacity, but it may open the door to the X-Men being rebooted into the MCU sooner than expected. Okay, so let's stop for just a second there. There's another report that was done by Charles Murphy. That was the one that I was going to do the video on prior, and I want to talk about evil Skrulls and how this Fizz character may well end up being evil. But let's just talk about the X-Men for just a second. We know more or less that Charles Xavier will be Professor X in one of the universes visited in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. It's technically a rumor, but there's a lot of evidence to suggest that that is real. I've also heard that other Fox X-Men will appear in different realities realities throughout the Marvel multiverse. The character that Emilia Clarke is playing, some believe will be Abigail Brand, who was mostly in charge of S.W.O.R.D. in the comics, and she does have the X gene in her. And with Nick Fury being at the forefront of this show, I wouldn't be surprised if they use Secret Invasion in some ways to establish mutations, the X gene, and other things that are inherent to the mutants. And they talk about how Nick Fury did know that these people and that these types of humans existed. We could even see our version, the 616 of the main Marvel timeline version of Professor X, established around the time of this show, maybe even showcased in the show, but likely not to be the focus of the show. Regardless, it's really interesting that Skrulls with the X gene and mutations could be coming to Earth. I mean, mutants are really powerful, and mutant Skrulls, that's a really kind of cool idea. It reminds me a little bit of the genetic manipulation the Skrulls do to create the Super Skrull, giving them the power of the Fantastic Four. And so you might see the Skrull knowing about mutation, knowing about human mutants as well, and perhaps that is connected to the reason that they are invading Earth. But now let's talk about another Skrull that is said to be appearing in this show as well. And this has to do with a report that Murphy's Multiverse had about details about this guy's Skrull character right here. This is Kingsley Ben-Adir, and Murphy reported that in regards to his character, he will be a Skrull who will be up against Nick Fury and Talos throughout the Series 6 episode. Furthermore, Murphy's Multiverse revealed that Ben-Adir's Skrull has a long history with Ben Mendelsohn's Talos. In the MCU, prior to the destruction of the Skrulls' homeworld of Skrullos, Talos was working alongside Kree scientist Marvel to find refuge for a group of Skrulls, something which Captain Marvel revealed. With the general hatred that the Skrulls have for the Kree in general, Ben-Adir's character may not be overly fond of Talos' choice of bedfellows. The site clarified that Marvel Studios is working to keep Ben-Adir's character information a secret, though a Murphy's Multiverse pointed out the fact that he has a long history with Talos may reveal who he is playing. When Secret Invasion airs, it will have been at least 30 years since the destruction of Talos' Skrull homeworld. In that time, however, it's likely that other surviving groups of shape-shifting race found new refuge and, for whatever reason, readied their invasion of Earth. Murphy's Multiverse suggested two options as to who Ben-Adir's character may be, both of which are pure speculation on their part. The first would be a Skrull spy, Peobok, who is a Skrullian military captain in the comics. The bigger option, which would be a massive play on Marvel's part, would for him to be the most famous Skrull in the comics, Kl'rt, otherwise known as the Super Skrull. Killian Scott is another new face who has joined the fray, one whom the website revealed will be joining Ben-Adir's Skrull as they butt heads with Fury and Talos. We now know a little bit more about the bad guy Skrulls. Now, Secret Invasion, you might say plainly, of course there were going to be bad guy Skrulls. There would probably be some Skrulls that weren't like Talos out there in the galaxy, but there were rumors that Marvel was going to go a different way with this and actually have the Brood be the people, or rather the race, that was invading Earth and, doing something to the male superheroes. That was a crazy rumor. There was possibility of the Kree and the sleeper cells that are discussed in Spider-Man Far From Home being the actual villains. We didn't know for sure that the Skrull were actually going to be the bad guys and invading Earth like they did in the comic books. It's awesome to hear that that's actually the way that they are going. And I love this idea of the main Skrull that is coming after Earth and butting heads with Nick Fury and Talos being a Skrull that has a history with Talos, that has a history with the Kree, that may well be a version of the Super Skrull, and that one of the people that's going to be teaming up with him is this other mutant Skrull. And there could be so many different reasons as to why the Skrull want to invade Earth. I mean, if you think about it, the Inhumans, which we still think might be in the MCU, somebody help me out with that. Are they actually a part of the MCU or not? Regardless, they were experiments done by the Kree to become essentially weapons due to the genetic nature of human beings. They were created to help fight against the Skrulls, at least partially. So maybe the Skrull and the Skrull having mutation or doing their own genetic manipulation of their own cells recognize that Earth is an incredible place to grab up some other genetic material, to get other mutants to do some kind of fusion and maybe even create weapons, much like the Kree did with the Inhumans. It's also possible the Skrull just blame Earth and humans for allowing Thanos to do what he did, because we must remember that when Thanos wiped out half the life in the universe, he wiped out half of the Skrull life as well, and they were already having a pretty bad go of it. And so maybe the Skrull, now being reestablished, are coming to Earth to take over this planet to sort of pay a debt back to humanity for allowing Thanos to do this. Maybe it's a combination of those things. Either way, guys, for me, this is getting cooler and cooler the more I hear about it. We have bad guy Skrulls, likely one of the people that is the Super Skrull, possibly being the main villain of the show, mutant Skrulls that have a connection to the X-Men, the possibility of Nick Fury talking about the X gene mutation and just all sorts of cool stuff when it comes to MCU lore. This is going to be absolutely wild, man. The Skrull in the comic books and the Skrull invasion, they were absolutely ruthless. It was very hard to keep track of. Nick Fury goes literally hiding so that he can sort of watch this from afar and try to help figure out what is going on. A lot of crazy stuff happens with this, and then it ends with Norman Osborn killing the Skrull Queen, and then, you know, getting in charge of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Hammer. I don't know if that's the direction they're going to go with the show or not. I think it might tie into the Marvels and explain more of what is going on in space with perhaps Skrulls, but also maybe mutants and other powerful humans trying to help out in the galaxy. So there you have it, guys, a juicy video about some new reports about Secret Invasion that have me hyped. I want to know what you think about these reports. Let me know. Smash like on this video if you liked it. Subscribe to our channel to see more of our content pop up in your recommended feed. And go check out our live streaming channel, man. I'm sure after you watch this video, you'll have a ton of different questions. Come on by, ask me a question in a live chat. I'll try to get to it, break it down with you. It's always a good time over on the streaming channel, so go check that out as well. As I always say, I hope you're having an awesome and a nerdy day, and I'll see you in the next video.